Close your eyes and imagine the world before us, before voices filled the air, before footsteps pressed into the soil, before a single human hand shaped stone or fire. Picture the silence of a planet untouched, a wilderness without witnesses. Now, leap forward, not to our rise, but to our vanishing. To a tomorrow when every city stands empty, when every word, every song, every memory collapses into silence once again. A world where humanity's greatest presence is felt only through its absence. Imagine this: 7 billion voices silenced in a single breath. No goodbye, no warning, just absence. Just one day the streets are alive with footsteps, chatter, laughter, arguments, the mechanical whir of daily life. And the next, they are still. Humanity has disappeared. Not destroyed, not buried, not slain by war or plague. Simply gone. The world doesn't understand what has happened. Trains halt mid-journey. Airplanes fly on until fuel gives out, spiraling into oceans and forests. Phones ring endlessly with no one to answer. Doors remain open where someone stepped outside for a moment and never came back. Food simmers on stoves until it burns, alarms blaring into void. Cities are left like paused dreams, bustling one moment, frozen the next. And the earth, the patient witness to everything we built, takes its first deep, quiet breath without us. The story of what happens next isn't a tale of grief alone. It's a story of resilience, not ours, but the resilience of everything we thought we ruled. Skyscrapers, highways, airplanes, satellites, gardens, rats, cockroaches, wolves, rivers, weeds. The entire cast of life and machine, left to fend without its director. This is not only the story of our disappearance, but the story of what comes after. The first days are chaotic in silence. Power grids, dependent on human maintenance, flicker out across the continents. Nuclear reactors hum in isolation, some shutting down automatically, others simmering toward disaster. Dams hold back water until time and pressure carve through their walls. Cities gleam at night for only a short while before light by light, window by window, darkness claims them. Wildlife begins to creep in cautiously. Pigeons roost in the skeletons of empty shopping malls. Foxes step onto once feared roads. Deer graze on golf courses where no golfer will yell again. Predators kept at bay by our numbers begin to expand their territories. Wolves stretch further south. Bears wander into towns. Lions and elephants, once caged, reclaim land in silence if fate frees them. But the real change isn't in the first week. It's in the years that follow. Rust spreads like a new empire. Concrete cracks. Roots split open highways. Vines crawl up monuments. Ivy scales the walls of banks and palaces. Wind carries dust into homes where toys remain on the floor, books still open mid-sentence. Nature begins the slow, patient art of erasure, yet some of our creations resist. Plastic bags flutter in empty streets. Glass towers reflect sunsets for decades. Satellites orbit silently, blinking like fireflies above a planet they cannot communicate with. Deep in the ground, data servers hum until their fuel runs dry, holding vast oceans of memory that no one will ever recall. The Earth does not mourn. It merely adjusts. It has done so for billions of years. It has survived comets, ice ages, volcanoes, extinctions. Humanity's vanishing is simply another moment in its long memory. But the traces we leave behind, our fingerprints burned into steel, our statues, our plastics, our scars on the land, become the fossils of an age that once called itself eternal. And so the stage is set. A world without people, where silence is no longer absence, but the dominant sound. Where animals rise, forests breathe, oceans claim back what was stolen, and our monuments, cathedrals, dams, bridges, satellites, begin their slow descent into dust. This is the story of Earth after us. The first hours after humanity and its disappearance are the loudest the world has ever been in our absence. Not because voices remain, but because of everything we left running. Engines roar without drivers. Freight trains grind against steel until brakes seize. Ships drift without course, some colliding against docks, others vanishing into storms. In the skies, passenger planes circle on autopilot, unaware their passengers are gone, until fuel bleeds dry and the sky scatters them in fiery arcs. Across cities, alarms shriek endlessly, car alarms triggered by nothing, oven timers buzzing, emergency sirens that no hand will silence. By the end of the first day, chaos begins to calm into eerie stillness. Fires rage in kitchens, factories, and refineries, but burn out with no one to contain or spread them. Some buildings collapse under the weight of their own destruction. Smoke pillars rise above skylines that once glowed with neon, and then, for the first time in centuries, true night falls over cities. The hum of civilization dims. Stars, long hidden behind curtains of light pollution, pierce the darkness. In the countryside, farms begin to change immediately. Millions of cows, pigs, and chickens, bred for human use, find themselves trapped in pens, barns, and cages. Some perish within days without food or water. Others break free, forming strange colonies in the wild. Chickens flutter into forests, pigs grow feral with astonishing speed, cattle roam until predators discover them. Domesticated dogs howl in confusion. Some band together, others wither without their owners. Cats, resilient and quiet, slip easily into the new order, thriving in silence. Zoos tell another story. For days, animals pace behind bars, waiting for meals that never come. Some die quickly. Others escape as barriers rust, break, or are simply left ajar by vanished caretakers. Elephants wander suburban streets, lions stalk through shopping centers, and reptiles bask in unmonitored terrariums until hunger drives them free. A strange redistribution of the animal kingdom begins, not guided by evolution, but by accident. Meanwhile, human creations begin their countdown. Power grids are the first to falter. Most cities rely on constant supervision. Within hours to days, cascading failures sweep across continents. Hydroelectric dams overflow, turbines stall, and solar panels collect energy with no one to harness it. Nuclear power plants, designed with automated safety features, shut themselves down in some cases, but not all. A few melt down quietly, poisoning their regions with radiation. The Earth absorbs these wounds, just as it has absorbed others before. Without pumps, subway tunnels flood. Without repairs, streets crack. Skyscrapers, marvels of glass and steel, stand proud for now, but their lifespans have already begun to shrink. Windows shatter in storms. Roofs leak. Mold spreads. And in time, the elements pry apart even the tallest towers. The natural world senses opportunity. Plants surge into spaces once held at bay. Seeds sprout in gutters. Grass rises between bricks. Weeds split concrete apart grain by grain. Within months, suburban lawns grow wild. Wheat fields bend to the wind, and forests creep into highways. The borders between city and nature blur. Predators take notice. Wolves begin their advance into Europe's empty suburbs. Bears cross into abandoned towns, raiding what food remains. Coyotes spread further east across North America. In Africa, without tourist cars and rangers, elephants and lions roam freely across highways and villages. Rivers swell as dams erode. Wetlands return where fields once drained them. The earth exhales, cautious but relentless. The silence is profound, but it is not empty. It is filled with rustling leaves, bird calls once drowned by traffic, the crack of collapsing beams, the hiss of wind through open windows. The earth, no longer muffled, finds its voice again. And far above, satellites circle like forgotten ornaments. They blink and transmit, but no one listens. Some burn into the atmosphere after years, others drift silently for centuries, carrying humanity's fingerprints into the void. Days become weeks, weeks become months. Our absence grows less like a pause and more like a conclusion. No one returns to repair, to rescue, to remember. The stage is no longer ours. The story continues, but with new narrators, silent, patient, unknowing of our triumphs or failures. This is only the beginning of the age after us. Months pass. The silence that once felt sharp and jarring now settles like a second skin over the earth. No footsteps echo down subway tunnels. No footsteps crunch on sidewalks. No laughter or conversation breaks the air. Yet life is not still. The world is reshaping itself at every moment. By the end of the first year, the transformation is unmistakable. Cities once designed to dominate are now overrun by growth. Ivy spreads across stone, kudzu strangles fences, and dandelions bloom in parking lots. The manicured order of human life, neatly cut lawns, tidy flower beds, carefully aligned hedges, collapses into wild chaos. Orchards explode with fruit, unpicked and left to rot, feeding new generations of insects and animals. Wheat and cornfields sprout without plowing or harvest, eventually choking themselves, their careful balance gone. Domesticated animals have split into two fates. The weak and dependent vanish quickly, while the adaptable thrive. Packs of dogs have formed feral colonies, their shapes reverting toward wolf-like frames within generations. Cats, sleek and cunning, populate every corner of the globe, haunting ruins like shadowy guardians of forgotten homes. Feral pigs roam forests and fields, multiplying rapidly, their tusks and wild coats returning within years. Horses break free from stables, form herds, and reclaim plains that once were fenced. In the oceans, fishing fleets lie anchored, corroding slowly in salt water. With no nets cast, fish populations begin to swell. Whales, no longer hunted, grow bolder, their songs carrying farther across seas untroubled by propeller noise. Coral reefs, once bleached by climate stress, cautiously begin to recover. The great silence extends underwater, granting marine life a reprieve it had not known in centuries. Back on land, structures weaken. Without constant pumping, underground subway systems and basements are filled with groundwater. Rust eats at railways and cars. Tires rot where they rest, and bridges begin to weaken. Within a few years, potholes split roads, floods carve gullies through highways, and small saplings sprout in every crack. The cities most vulnerable to nature are those built on water's edge. Venice, already fighting tides, succumbs quickly. New Orleans drowns beneath floods. Miami is reclaimed by rising seas, while mangroves creep into abandoned neighborhoods. In Asia, coastal megacities like Shanghai and Manila are eaten alive by typhoons, their towers shattered by waves and winds. Even inland giants are not safe. Chicago's basements flood, Moscow's rooftops collapse under snow with no repairs, and Delhi's heat cracks its monuments. Yet some monuments resist. The pyramids of Giza, already ancient, stand unmoved, their stones patient as millennia. Mount Rushmore stares silently from its granite wall, faces weathering grain by grain but still recognizable. The Great Wall of China snakes across mountains, stones loosening, but its bones remain visible from the air. The Eiffel Tower rusts, but for decades it still pierces the Paris skyline before winds and storms finally topple it. Humanity's attempt to speak through stone and steel lingers, but not forever. The air itself shifts. Without our factories and engines, carbon emissions drop sharply. Skies clear. In places once suffocated by smog, Beijing, Los Angeles, Mumbai, blue horizons return. Acid rain weakens, ozone layers heal, and the air tastes cleaner than it has in centuries. Forests swell, absorbing what carbon remains, and within decades the climate begins to tilt back toward balance. But balance is never static. Ice caps continue to melt from the damage already done, seas rise for centuries, and the earth readjusts in its slow, impartial rhythm. Amid all this, the loudest silence remains in the artifacts of our presence. Libraries still hold books that no hand will open. Museums still cradle bones, canvases, jewels, dust settling slowly on treasures once fiercely guarded. Computers and servers shut down, hard drives corrode, and the vast archive of human thought and history dissolves into nothing. Only stone carvings, etched steel, and scattered plastics endure. The stories we told ourselves about being eternal are washed away in decades. 100 years without us is still far away, but even now, in the first few, the Earth is beginning to forget our outlines. The world is younger, freer, wilder. It is the same planet, but not the same stage. And if you listen closely, in the cracks of skyscrapers, in the rivers rushing through empty cities, in the roar of forests overtaking suburbs. You might almost imagine the earth is singing again. Decades pass, and the world without us begins to forget the rhythm of our footsteps. What were once temporary disruptions, the grass sprouting in sidewalks, the rust on cars, the foxes exploring city edges, are now permanent states. The earth is no longer hesitating, it is reclaiming. By the 10th year, trees stand tall in parking lots, their roots cracking the asphalt into islands. Roofs of homes sag beneath the weight of rain and snow, collapsing in on themselves. Suburban neighborhoods transform into miniature forests, where deer graze beside rusting swing sets and birds nest in chimneys. Roads that once pulsed with headlights and horns now resemble long gray rivers, winding but broken, swallowed by soil and roots. Predators have established new kingdoms. Packs of wolves roam through European suburbs where once they were hunted nearly to extinction. Coyotes stretch across the United States, taking abandoned towns as their new dens. Bears wander through schoolyards, pulling fruit from untended orchards. Big cats, escaped or thriving in wild reserves, spread their territories across Africa and Asia with little resistance. Domestic species that survived the first harsh years now blend into ecosystems in ways unimaginable during our reign. Feral dogs no longer resemble pets but lean, sharp-eyed hunters. Horses thrive on open plains, their numbers swelling without fences or stables. Pigs grow large and tusked, altering entire forest ecologies. Goats climb through villages and cliffs, stripping greenery with ease. Humanity's livestock legacy is no longer controlled. It mutates into new species, new pressures on old landscapes. As animals rise, machines fall. Automobiles, abandoned in garages or along highways, decay into skeletons of rust. Plastic dashboards crack in the sun, seats mold, tires crumble. Airplanes corrode where they landed or crashed decades earlier, their hulks overtaken by vines. Trains stand frozen on tracks warped by frost and roots. The mighty network of machines that once carried billions now rests as monuments to fragility. Architecture holds longer, but not forever. Glass towers become hazards to themselves as their panels shatter and winds hollow out their frames. Skyscrapers collapse from storms, fires, or slow decay, filling downtowns with rubble. Concrete bridges, eroded by rain and ice, tumble into rivers. Iconic skylines still glimmer in the distance, but they are broken teeth in the jaws of a forest that no longer respects their borders. Nature moves differently across regions. In tropical jungles, ruins are devoured almost instantly. Within decades, Central American cities vanish under tangles of vines, ceiba trees, and strangler figs. In the deserts of the Middle East, sand buries highways, and ancient monuments like Petra once again blend with the earth. In frozen landscapes like Siberia, buildings remain longer, preserved in permafrost, but even there, thawing ice destabilizes foundations and swallows settlements. Rising seas redraw maps. Coastal cities vanish beneath salt water, their outlines only faintly visible through waves. New wetlands expand, creating homes for birds and fish where humans once lived. Rivers, freed from dams, flood across plains and carve new paths. Beavers build where we once built. Their dams are stronger, more adaptive, more enduring in their own way. And in the skies above, satellites still orbit. Many have already burned in the atmosphere, scattering metallic dust across the planet. But some persist, circling faithfully in silence, carrying signals into a void with no receiver. They are the last voice of humanity, repeating data to no one. By the 50th year, Earth is unrecognizable. Cities are shadows, infrastructure has collapsed, and wildlife dominates. Only a handful of structures remain stubborn against time. The pyramids, stone temples, fortified walls, statues carved from mountain faces. They stand as cryptic guardians of a vanished people, but even they are worn down by storms, rain, and earthquakes. The earth is thriving again. Forests blanket continents, animals fill every niche, oceans sing without interruption. What once seemed like our permanent imprint is now nothing but ruins buried under leaves and soil. In the grand arc of time, 50 years is nothing. For the earth, it is the blink of an eye, But in that blink, humanity has already become a memory, and memories fade. 100 years have passed. What was once a planet shaped daily by our will is now a wilderness that has nearly forgotten us. Forests dominate again. Where suburbs sprawled across hillsides and plains, oak and pine stand tall. The jungles of South America surge outward, wrapping around the stone bones of old highways and airports. In Asia, bamboo forests swallow villages whole. North America's eastern forests, once cleared for farms and industry, return with a density unseen since before colonization. Europe, dotted with towns and farms for millennia, is now stitched with wild woodlands. Cities are skeletons. Some are already swallowed entirely by nature. New York, once the beating heart of modern life, is overrun by trees growing out of crumbling skyscrapers. Central Park has become an endless forest, its edges indistinguishable from the ruins around it. Bears and wolves stalk Times Square, while the rivers slowly reclaim Manhattan's edges. London, Paris, and Rome are overgrown mosaics of vines and ruins, where foxes hunt in once crowded squares. Beijing is obscured by dust storms and forests, its palaces buried under time. Some monuments resist. The pyramids of Giza still stand under the desert sun, battered but enduring as they have for thousands of years. Mount Rushmore, though weathered, still stares blankly into eternity, its faces softened by rain and frost. Stonehenge remains, half buried, as it always has. Yet the Eiffel Tower is a rusted memory, collapsed into twisted metal on the Parisian soil. The Statue of Liberty, its iron skeleton weakened, topples into the harbor, leaving only fragments of copper among the waves. Even our most stubborn creations bow before weather and time. Animals have taken our place as the architects of Earth's present. Wolves dominate Europe's forests, herds of wild horses sweep across North America, and elephants wander freely through reclaimed African lands. Rivers teem with fish, whales fill the oceans, and birds nest in what remains of skyscrapers. The species we had driven to the brink of extinction, rhinos, tigers, gorillas, either thrive in our absence or vanish entirely, depending on luck and climate. Evolution has already begun weaving new paths, shaping creatures we would no longer recognize. And then there is the climate. A century without factories and burning fuels has cleared the skies. Carbon dioxide levels have fallen, though not back to their ancient balance. The damage we left behind still echoes. Seas remain higher, ice still melts, and coastlines remain drowned. Yet the Earth has stabilized enough to recover. Forests act as carbon sponges, oceans cleanse themselves, and the scars of our age are slowly covered by green and blue. Far beneath the surface, other remnants endure. Nuclear waste, sealed in bunkers, continues to glow in silence. Plastic, scattered through every ocean and buried in every landfill, still resists decay. Some fragments break down into microplastics, entering food chains that no human remains to worry about. Our deepest scars are not buildings or statues, but the chemicals and materials we left behind. And yet, without storytellers, none of it matters. 100 years is long enough to erase memory. No living creature remembers our words, our music, our dreams. The planet remembers us only through the shape of our ruins and the fragments of our waste. For the deer grazing in Washington, for the jaguar stalking a ruined church in Brazil, for the whale breaching in a silent sea, humanity is nothing. 100 years is still nothing in the timeline of Earth, but it is long enough to bury us under silence. The age of man is over. The age of wildness has returned. 200 years without us. By now, most cities are no longer recognizable. Their skeletons remain in fragments, but they are cloaked beneath forests, rivers, and marshes. What humanity once called civilization has been dismantled piece by piece, storm by storm, season by season. The tallest skyscrapers are long gone. Even the strongest steel and concrete have surrendered. Where downtown skylines once scraped the clouds, only jagged ruins poke above canopies of trees. Nature has absorbed them as if they were nothing more than fallen cliffs. Roots thread through basements, moss carpets marble floors, and vines loop through hollowed-out windows. Forests grow on top of parking garages. Wetlands bloom in the husks of stadiums. Entire neighborhoods lie beneath soil and leaf litter, erased so completely that only explorers centuries later would suspect something had once stood there. Rivers have taken back their courses, without levees, without dams, without engineers to redirect them. Waterways carve freely across the land. Floodplains return to their natural ranges, and with them come wetlands, swamps, and deltas richer than any farmland ever was. Beavers, long absent in many places, expand into continents with unchecked freedom, reshaping rivers with their dams. The sea continues its slow march inland. Hundreds of cities vanish permanently beneath the tide. Miami, Amsterdam, Shanghai, Alexandria, all drowned in silence. Their ruins lie beneath coral reefs and schools of fish, monuments turned into artificial reefs for an ocean that no longer remembers their names. Animal life has fully reclaimed dominance. Wolves roam through what used to be Moscow. Elephants wander through crumbling Indian villages. Jaguars cross the ruins of Mayan temples, and cougars patrol the streets of what was once Los Angeles. Feral horses thunder across the Great Plains. Bears sleep in broken cabins. Cities are no longer borders, they are habitats. The great extinction caused by humanity has healed in strange ways. Many species are gone forever, their absence permanent. Passenger pigeons, dodos, thylacines. But others, given space, multiply. Whales once again crowd the oceans. Tigers, once nearly gone, prowl thick forests without hunters to stop them. Rhinoceroses, freed from poaching, rebuild their herds. Evolution begins to stitch together new balances, filling in the niches we once controlled. Human structures that remain are only those built with immense strength. The pyramids are still here, wind-battered but patient. Some mountain-carved temples in Asia endure. A handful of dams buried beneath silt and vegetation still stand, though their lakes have overflown. But everything else is gone. Wood has rotted, metal has rusted, glass has shattered, plastic has crumbled into invisible fragments carried on the wind. The climate has calmed. Greenhouse gases have fallen further, absorbed by spreading forests and oceans. The planet is warmer than it was before humanity, but stable in its new balance. Ice still melts in the poles, and the sea still rises, but slower now, less chaotic. The earth has found its rhythm again, and yet, in the silence of the ruins, there are traces that defy time. Deep in mountains and deserts, radioactive waste containers still glow faintly, deadly to anything that wanders too close. In orbit, a handful of satellites still circle, long since inert, but carrying pieces of our digital language in silence. The Voyager probes, drifting far beyond, remain the only living message from a species that no longer exists. 2 centuries without us, and we are nearly gone. Only in the bones of mountains and the faint scars of our industries does our presence remain. But for the fox that hunts through the ruins of Paris, for the whale that breaches in a sea once crowded with ships, for the owl that nests in the cracks of a fallen skyscraper, there is no memory, no story, no trace of us at all. The Earth has moved on. Half a millennium has passed since the last human voice was heard. Our languages are silent. Our monuments are almost gone. The Earth has reclaimed nearly everything. Forests blanket continents in uninterrupted waves of green. Where highways once cut across nations, tree roots bind the earth again. Where cities sprawled endlessly, woodlands rise in their place. In the ruins of London, oak groves grow thick. In Tokyo, cherry blossoms bloom each spring, their petals falling on the ruins of towers long since collapsed. New York is unrecognizable. Manhattan is a dense island forest, rivers free and wild, its skyline a jagged memory buried under branches. The ruins of our great works are now rare curiosities. Most buildings, bridges, and machines are gone. Steel has rusted into soil, glass has shattered into sand, wood has vanished into dust. Only the strongest endure. The pyramids still loom in the desert, though sandstorms eat away their sharp edges. The Great Wall of China is broken and buried in places, but still visible as a scar across mountains. Carvings in stone temples in India and South America survive, though cracked and faded. Mount Rushmore's faces are half worn, Jefferson's features softened into anonymity, Lincoln's eyes disappearing into rock. The seas have risen higher. Vast coastlines lie beneath waves. Islands once filled with hotels and airports are now coral reefs. New marshlands have spread inland, teeming with life. Rivers have carved fresh courses, and lakes have expanded, their waters filling ancient cities like tombs. Wildlife thrives and forms both familiar and new. Wolves rule Europe's forests, lions and elephants roam across Africa's old farmlands, and bison return to the plains of North America. Horses run in herds, wild pigs root across continents, and goats cling to mountainsides in uncountable numbers. Evolution, guided not by us, but by chance, is already reshaping creatures into new adaptations. Feral dogs have changed dramatically, their bodies streamlined for survival, their coats blending into forests. Birds once common in cities have shifted behaviors, nesting in cliffs and ruins alike. The oceans are louder now, filled with the calls of whales and the swarming of fish. Coral reefs, long damaged by human industry, have returned in force, spreading across shallow seas, some even growing around the ruins of drowned skyscrapers. Where we once poisoned, life flourishes again. Plastic, once thought eternal, is now broken into tiny fragments. Some of it is buried in layers of soil, becoming part of future geology. Traces of our chemicals remain, scattered in sediments, invisible markers of our existence. Nuclear waste still lies sealed in its deep tombs, dangerous but buried, surviving as our most lasting fingerprints. Above, the satellites have mostly fallen. Their debris has burned through the atmosphere or crashed to Earth, scattered in forgotten deserts, forests, and seas. A few still drift in orbit, silent, carrying languages, songs, and data for no one. Voyager sails beyond, carrying a golden record into endless dark, a message from ghosts. 500 years is nothing for the Earth, but it is enough to erase us almost entirely. No ruins are left in living memory, because there is no memory. No stories, no myths. We are not remembered. We are not even forgotten. We are simply gone. And yet, in stone and plastic, in radioactive decay, and drifting satellites, faint fingerprints remain. The Earth will carry them forward, not as monuments, but as sediments, as dust, as fossils of a species that once called itself eternal. A millennium has passed since humanity's disappearance. Entire ecosystems have risen and fallen in that span. Forests have matured, burned, regrown, and spread again. Rivers have shifted their courses many times. Coasts have redrawn themselves under the relentless rise and fall of seas. The Earth has completed its quiet work of healing. Our cities are no longer ruins, they are fossils. What once stood tall as steel and glass monuments are now mounds beneath soil and forest. Skyscrapers are gone, collapsed and buried beneath centuries of roots, rain, and storms. Highways are indistinguishable from riverbeds or forest clearings. Only faint, unnatural lines buried beneath layers of sediment mark where civilization once sprawled. Stoneworks remain, though weathered beyond recognition. The pyramids of Egypt are still here, but their sharp edges have melted into the desert. They no longer look like human structures, only massive hills of rock, indistinguishable from natural formations to any future intelligence that might discover them. Mount Rushmore's faces are nearly gone, worn by wind and rain into anonymous cliffs. The Great Wall of China lies in fragments, its stones scattered across valleys and mountainsides. Far underground, evidence of humanity persists in stranger forms. Concrete bunkers, landfills, and tunnels still hold our waste. Plastic has not disappeared. It is simply transformed into microscopic fragments embedded in soil and oceans. In the layers of Earth, a future geologist would find a thin stratum unlike any before, filled with metals, plastics, and radioactive traces. It is the geological shadow of our age, the Anthropocene fossil layer. Nature, however, has adapted fully to this new world. New species, born of centuries without our interference, dominate ecosystems. Wolves have split into several distinct varieties, some larger, some smaller, adapted to forests, plains, and even wetlands. Feral dogs are now their own wild species, unrecognizable as pets. Horses, pigs, and goats, long since free, have reshaped continents. Birds, freed from city life, have rediversified into forms unseen in our time. The oceans are alive with fish, whales, and coral. The earth is vibrant, restless, and utterly free of us. But even after 1,000 years, some of our shadows still haunt the planet. Nuclear waste remains buried, its danger still potent, though diminished with time. Deep-sea cables and sunken ships lie preserved on ocean floors. Satellites in higher orbits still circle silently, their metal frames untouched by atmosphere. The Voyager probes drift even farther, carrying their golden records into eternity. From the perspective of the Earth, 1,000 years is nothing more than a breath. Yet in that breath, all memory of humanity has disappeared. There are no ruins to visit, no languages spoken, no statues to admire. If another species were to rise with intelligence, they might one day find fragments of our presence, but not our meaning. We believed we had mastered eternity. In truth, we lasted less than a blink in Earth's long story. The forests now whisper over our graves, the seas roll over our monuments, and the wind scatters the last dust of our machines. Humanity is not remembered here, it is absorbed. The world has cycled through countless seasons. Forests have risen, burned in wildfires, and returned again. Rivers have carved new paths, burying what once were cities beneath layers of sediment. Ice has advanced and retreated. The earth has not paused, it has moved endlessly forward. What remains of humanity is now vanishing into the fabric of geology. Our buildings, bridges, and roads are gone. Even our greatest monuments, stone carved with such pride, are weathered into near oblivion. The pyramids of Giza, which stood for 5 millennia under human care, are now eroded into massive mounds, indistinguishable from natural hills in the desert. Mount Rushmore's faces are erased entirely, cliffs blank and anonymous. The Great Wall of China is nothing more than scattered rubble, its line broken and buried beneath soil and forest. In this span of time, continents themselves have shifted ever so slightly. Earthquakes have toppled what little remained. Volcanoes have buried ruins in ash. Storms and tides have erased coastlines entirely. Entire regions once dominated by humanity, low-lying cities, river valleys, seacoasts, are now fertile wetlands, forests, or seas. Yet some fingerprints persist. Deep underground, nuclear waste remains sealed, its containers corroding but still deadly. It will take many tens of thousands of years for the radiation to fade into safety. This is our most enduring monument. Not temples, not art, not language, but poison. In the oceans, fragments of plastic are now layered into sediments. Over millennia, they will harden into new rocks, plastiglomerates, fused with sand, shells, and volcanic debris. These strange stones will endure as silent signatures of a vanished species. To future geologists, they will mark the Anthropocene, the age of humanity etched into the crust of the Earth. Meanwhile, evolution has marched onward. New species roam the land. Wolves, dogs, and coyotes have branched into new predators. Horses and pigs have adapted into forms unrecognizable to our memory. Birds once dependent on cities have evolved new calls, new patterns of flight. Ocean life has fully rebounded, filling seas with diversity not seen for hundreds of thousands of years. Coral reefs glow with color, whales sing across oceans free of ship noise, and fish swarm in numbers once thought lost forever. 50,000 years. By now glaciers may have come and gone again, grinding away whatever remnants stood in their path. Climate cycles have shifted. The Earth is entering its next natural rhythm, long independent of humanity's interference. The very outline of continents has changed. New deserts have formed, mountains have risen further, islands have sunk or been born from volcanic fire. And what of us? Nearly nothing remains. Our satellites, once circling above, have fallen. Most burned in the atmosphere, but fragments lie scattered across the Earth. Voyager still drifts beyond the solar system, its golden record silent in the void, carrying voices and songs no creature will ever hear. On the planet itself, our legacy is reduced to subtle traces. Radioactive decay, fossilized plastics, layers of carbon from our burning fuels. We have become a geological event, not a remembered people. If intelligent life rises again, it may one day find these clues, puzzled by the sudden flash of an industrious species and its abrupt disappearance. 50,000 years is an eternity for memory, yet it is still a heartbeat for the Earth. We are gone, and the world has reshaped itself without us. The forests are deep, the seas are alive, the skies are full of wings, life thrives. The planet no longer bears our scars. It wears only the faint fossils of our age. Humanity has joined the countless species before it, vanished, silent, absorbed into the eternal story of Earth. Time has stretched beyond anything our ancestors could imagine. Entire landscapes have risen and fallen. Rivers have carved new canyons. Glaciers have advanced and retreated, and deserts have swallowed vast territories. The Earth has cycled through ice and warmth, storms and droughts, all without witnesses to record them. Humanity's world is gone. The last great ruins of our civilization are now indistinguishable from natural formations. The pyramids are heaps of eroded stone, their geometric perfection long since melted into sand. Stone temples are fractured into rubble, covered by jungle or buried beneath soil. Skyscrapers, bridges, and highways vanished ages ago. Even the strongest concrete has crumbled into dust, mixed with the earth. Yet deep beneath the ground, faint reminders still linger. Nuclear waste, buried in engineered tombs, remains toxic. Its half-life stretches into this future. Some of it has leaked, seeping into rock and water, leaving behind invisible scars. Other caches remain sealed, silent reminders of a species that wielded power it could not outlive. Geologically, humanity is now only a layer, a dark band in the Earth's crust filled with metals, plastics, and radioactive isotopes. A future geologist, whether human descendants, alien explorers, or a new form of intelligence, would find this thin layer and know that something strange had happened. Something brief, something powerful, something gone. The natural world has erased nearly everything else. Forests blanket continents, richer and denser than in the Holocene. Oceans teem with life. Whales sing across the deep, their numbers greater than ever. Coral reefs blaze with color, spreading across coastlines once filled with concrete. Birds fill the skies. Insects hum in endless swarms. Predators roam the wilds freely. Evolution has sculpted new species. Wolves have split into many lineages, some massive hunters, others small and cunning. Birds have filled niches left empty for millennia. Entire ecosystems exist that no human ever saw. Mountains continue to rise. Volcanoes erupt, burying regions in ash. Earthquakes reshape coastlines. Climate swings shift biomes across the globe. Continents drift slowly apart, their outlines shifting in ways no human map could ever anticipate. And in the heavens above, only one artifact still carries our story: Voyager. Far beyond the solar system, it sails on, its golden record intact. But in the endless emptiness of space, there is no guarantee it will ever be found. It may drift until the universe itself grows cold, a ghost ship carrying voices no one will hear. At 100,000 years, Earth has healed. The scars of our machines, our cities, our industries have faded into dust. The only lasting trace is the one we could never have seen: the invisible mark in stone, soil, and isotopes. We are not remembered in monuments. We are remembered in geology. And to the forests, the seas, the skies, it does not matter. They thrive endlessly, beautifully, indifferent to whether we once walked here. Humanity is not just gone, it is forgotten. A span of time greater than all of human history has passed since the last of us vanished. Civilizations once measured their power in decades or centuries. Now those units are meaningless. The Earth has shifted through countless cycles of climate, ecosystems, and evolution, erasing nearly every trace of our existence. The monuments are gone. The pyramids, already ancient before our disappearance, have collapsed entirely into the desert, indistinguishable from dunes and hills. The Great Wall of China has long since scattered into rubble, its stones recycled by earth, plants, and roots. Mount Rushmore is a natural cliff once more, its carved faces erased by wind and frost. Our proudest cities, New York, Paris, Tokyo, Cairo, Rio, are buried beneath forests, swamps, glaciers, or seas. Even our longest-lasting poisons have faded. Nuclear waste, once sealed in fearsome tombs, has decayed into stability. The radiation that haunted our legacy has weakened into harmlessness, absorbed into the rock. What was once a danger for millennia is now merely another mineral in the Earth's crust. Plastics, too, have transformed. No longer recognizable as bags, bottles, or packaging, they are compressed into layers of sediment, hardened into strange rocks that will persist as geological oddities. To any future intelligence that digs deep, these layers will reveal a mystery, a sudden pulse of synthetic material appearing in the stone, unlike anything before or after. The Earth itself has reshaped. Continents have drifted. Mountains have risen higher. Others have worn away. Rivers have cut vast new valleys. Seas have expanded and retreated. Volcanoes have created new lands. Earthquakes have destroyed and remade entire regions. The outlines of the world no longer match any human memory. Life has evolved. Species that we once knew, wolves, elephants, whales, have changed into new forms, adapted to climates and landscapes unrecognizable to us. Some descendants of domesticated animals still roam, though they are transformed beyond recognition. Evolution has filled niches with new predators, new prey, new forms of beauty and strangeness. The oceans swarm with creatures that have no names. Forests echo with calls no human ever heard. Skies are crossed by wings shaped in ways we never imagined. And above all this, the Earth is thriving. Free of our machines, free of our industry, free of our endless hunger, it has returned to its ancient rhythm. Climate still shifts, ice still comes and goes, deserts still expand and shrink, but all within its own balance. The only trace of us left now is locked in the deepest stone. A thin band of radioactive isotopes, metals, and synthetic compounds tells the story of our brief reign. To the Earth, we are no more than a geological event, a flash of time, a layer of strangeness, a scar turned into fossil. Voyager still drifts in the dark, far beyond the solar system, carrying a message from ghosts. Perhaps one day it will be intercepted. Perhaps not. If it is, our story will be read not on Earth, but in the endless void beyond, 1,000,000 years. Humanity has been erased from the planet's surface. Our voices are gone, our monuments dust, our machines rust. The Earth remembers us only in stone, in silence, in layers buried deep beneath forests and seas. And still, life continues, green, restless, unstoppable. The Earth has revolved around the Sun 10 million times since our disappearance. In that vast sweep of time, continents have wandered, climates have shifted, and life has reshaped itself countless times. Humanity's reign is no longer even a memory, only the faintest whisper in stone. The surface of the world bears no visible trace of us. Our monuments, our cities, our bridges, all gone. Even the sturdiest ruins, the pyramids, the temples, the bunkers, crumbled and buried. Whatever fragments remain are locked deep underground, indistinguishable from natural stone. Geology has worked tirelessly. Rivers have carved new canyons, glaciers have sculpted mountains, deserts have rolled across continents, seas have risen and fallen. Volcanoes have erupted, covering entire regions in new rock, sealing away the last bones of our machines. Tectonic plates have shifted, coastlines have redrawn. A traveler from our age, if such a thing existed, would not recognize the world at all. The biological world is even more unrecognizable. Entire species that thrived after our disappearance have gone extinct, replaced by new forms. Wolves, whales, elephants. If their descendants remain, they are no longer the same. Evolution has spun its endless wheel, producing predators, grazers, and scavengers unlike any we knew. Birds with strange wings dominate skies we never saw. Insects with new forms hum across continents. In the oceans, new leviathans swim, as strange to us as dinosaurs once were. Our legacy, such as it is, lies only in the rocks. A thin line in the crust still tells the story. Plastics turned to stone, radioactive isotopes frozen in sediment, traces of metals scattered in unnatural concentrations. To a geologist millions of years in the future, it is a signal of something unusual, something sudden, something brief. But without context, it is only mystery. Above, Voyager still sails. For 10 million years it has drifted silently through the void, a capsule of our voices, our songs, our hopes. But space is vast, and its chances of discovery are slim. It may drift until the stars themselves begin to die, its record unplayed, its message unread. 10 million years is long enough for continents to move, long enough for mountains to rise, long enough for life to reinvent itself. But it is not long enough for Earth to forget entirely. We are still there, invisible, buried, faint. 50 million years. By now, continents have shifted dramatically. New oceans have opened, old seas have closed, mountain chains have risen, others worn down to stumps. Climate has swung between ice and fire, deserts and forests. Life is completely transformed, bearing no resemblance to the age of humans. And what of us? We are gone. Entirely. Our fossil layer is there, but it is faint, blurred, eroded by countless cycles. The only thing that truly remains is the fact that we existed at all, etched in radioactive traces that may still be detectable. But to Earth, we are nothing more than a blip. 50 million years ago, the last dinosaurs still walked the Earth. 50 million years into the future, humanity is as far removed from the present as they are. We are not special. We are not eternal. We are a layer in stone. The Earth moves on, endlessly. 100 million years without us. The world has revolved and remade itself. Continents have drifted into entirely new positions, colliding and breaking apart. Mountain ranges as high as the Himalayas have risen where oceans once were. Other mountains have been ground down to plains. Volcanoes have reshaped coastlines, while seas have swallowed and released entire continents. Humanity is not only forgotten, it is untraceable to the naked eye. No pyramid, no wall, no tower remains. All stone, all steel, all concrete is erased, folded into geology. The surface of the Earth is as clean as if we had never touched it. But deep in the rocks, there is still a story. Our brief moment as a species remains recorded as a thin, strange layer. It is filled with concentrated metals, plastics fused into stone, and radioactive isotopes unlike anything else in the Earth's history. To a geologist of this distant age, whether evolved from today's creatures or something entirely alien, it would be a sharp line, an anomaly, proof that something powerful once changed the Earth and then vanished. The life of the planet has evolved into forms beyond recognition. Mammals, birds, reptiles, and insects have transformed into new branches of life. Entire lineages have flourished and fallen, leaving fossils layered above ours. Oceans teem with creatures that would look alien to us, their shapes sculpted by 10 times the span of humanity's entire history. The forests, deserts, mountains, and seas are alive, but with faces no human eye could name. The climate has shifted countless times in this span. Ice ages, hothouse periods, droughts, floods. Earth has cycled through them all. Each change has erased some creatures and given rise to others. It has always been this way. It will always be this way. And the continents, they are drifting toward reunion. Slowly, inexorably, tectonic plates carry them into collision. A new supercontinent is beginning to form, just as Pangaea once did. Oceans shrink as land masses press together. New mountain chains rise higher than any before. The map of Earth is rewritten entirely. And us? We are gone. A fossil layer, a line of mystery, buried beneath mountains that will one day erode into dust. No monument, no story, no song remains. Only the faintest chemical scars tell of our presence, and even they are fading, smeared by time. 300 million years. The supercontinent is complete now. One vast landmass dominates the globe, surrounded by a single endless ocean. Climate is extreme. Deserts stretch across the supercontinent's heart. Storms rage endlessly on its coasts. Evolution continues, shaping creatures adapted to this new world. Entirely new empires of life rise and fall, none aware of the strange buried layer that marks humanity's age. Beneath this landmass, our traces are locked deep within stone, crushed, folded, and melted by tectonic heat. Radioactive isotopes have long since decayed into stability. Plastics have been ground into atoms, indistinguishable from natural molecules. The last hints of us blur into the fabric of geology. The Earth is not ours anymore. It never was. 300 million years have washed us away. The Earth has turned around the sun 1 billion times since the last human walked its surface. In that vast gulf of time, mountains have risen and crumbled dozens of times. Oceans have opened and closed. Continents have merged into supercontinents and split apart again. The face of the planet is unrecognizable, a world of alien geography and alien life. Humanity is not even a memory. Our fossil layer is buried deep, folded into mountains, melted by magma, recycled into new rock. The radioactive isotopes that once marked our age have decayed into silence. Plastics, metals, concrete, all gone, their molecules scattered into Earth's endless chemistry. If a future geologist, whether born of Earth or elsewhere, were to slice open this world's crust, they might still detect a faint anomaly, a thin band, rich in carbon, heavy metals, and chemical traces, squeezed between older and younger stone. It would be a clue, nothing more, a whisper of a vanished species. But above ground, no trace remains. Forests have come and gone. Deserts have stretched across continents. Oceans have risen, flooded, retreated, and dried. Entire lineages of life have appeared, flourished, and vanished. None resemble those humanity knew. The wolves, whales, elephants, and crows of our age are long gone, their descendants transformed into strange forms, or replaced by creatures evolved from other survivors. Life endures, endlessly inventive, endlessly changing. The sun is brighter now, hotter than in our time. Earth feels the first deep tremors of its long death. The warming climate drives seas higher and evaporates them faster. Ice is rare, deserts are vast, and storms rage endlessly. For the first time since humans vanished, the planet itself trembles not with scars we left, but with the inevitability of its star's fire. In the far reaches of space, Voyager still drifts. For 1 billion years it has sailed silently, its golden record untouched. The probability of discovery is almost nothing, but still it moves, a tiny artifact of a forgotten people, carrying words no one speaks and music no one remembers. It is the last true relic of humanity, but it may never be heard. 1 billion years. Humanity has been erased completely from the surface of Earth. No stone, no story, no song survives. And yet for that brief flicker in time, we were here. A layer in stone, a ripple in the sea of memory. The Earth continues, patient, endless, indifferent. The Earth is hotter now. The sun, slowly growing more luminous as it ages, pours more energy onto the planet's surface than in our time. The oceans still churn, the winds still roar, the continents still drift, but life is beginning to strain beneath the rising heat. Forests that once covered continents are rarer. Deserts expand, swallowing inland regions. Rain falls less frequently, storms grow more violent. The oceans evaporate faster than they can be replenished. The air holds more water vapor, intensifying the greenhouse effect. Slowly, inexorably, Earth marches toward a future too hot for the complexity it once hosted. Life still exists, but it is different. Smaller, tougher, stranger. The great animals of our age, and even those that came after, are long gone. Complex ecosystems collapse under the weight of heat and drought, leaving behind resilient survivors, microbes, simple plants, and hardy creatures adapted to extremes. Evolution has not stopped, but its canvas has shrunk. The abundance of Earth is fading. 3 billion years. The sun shines still brighter. Temperatures rise further. Oceans shrink into inland seas. Shorelines retreat and vanish. Water exists mostly underground or locked in isolated pools. Vast deserts dominate continents, their sands whipped endlessly by winds. Mountains are bare. their peaks scorched by a sun fiercer than anything humanity ever knew. The sky grows dense with water vapor, trapping more and more heat. Runaway warming has begun. Earth is changing into a world that resembles Venus, an oven beneath thick clouds. 4 billion years. The oceans are almost gone. Only remnants remain in high latitudes, evaporating quickly into the superheated atmosphere. The Earth is no longer the blue planet. It is a scorched, rust-colored sphere. Its surface boils in places where shallow water still exists. Volcanoes still erupt, but their fires are swallowed by the overwhelming heat of the star above. Life clings on, but only in the simplest forms. Microbes, buried deep underground or hidden near geothermal vents, endure against all odds. They are the last heirs of a world that once teemed with forests, birds, whales, and humans. 5 billion years. The sun has entered its final stages. It swells, burning hotter, redder, larger. Earth is baked beyond recognition. Its surface glows with the heat of a dying world. Whatever life remains in the deep cracks of stone finally dies. The planet is lifeless, silent. Mountains crumble. Seas are gone. Atmosphere is stripped away. Earth becomes a scorched, airless rock, circling a star in its death throes. Humanity's thin geological layer, once a sharp mark in stone, has long since been melted, folded, and erased. Nothing remains. The sun grows larger, redder, until it swallows Mercury, then Venus, and then Earth itself. Our planet is consumed, drawn into the inferno of a red giant star. The last trace of our world is vaporized. The Earth is gone, and with it, every trace of humanity. Only Voyager drifts on, farther and farther into the galaxy, a tiny ship carrying songs, greetings, and dreams from a species that once thought itself eternal. Whether it is ever found or not, it is the last whisper of humanity in a universe that no longer remembers us. 5 billion years. The Earth is dust. Humanity is silence. The cosmos moves on. The Earth is gone, swallowed by the red giant sun. Nothing remains of the planet where humanity was born. The sun itself has shed its outer layers, drifting into a delicate, glowing shell of gas, a planetary nebula. At its center is the core, collapsed into a white dwarf star, small, dense, and glowing with the fading heat of its past life. The solar system is unrecognizable. Mercury and Venus are gone, consumed like Earth. Mars is a frozen, barren rock circling a dim star. The gas giants linger, but their atmospheres are stripped, their moons battered and lifeless. The Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud drift in silence, the last remnants of a system that once sang with life. Humanity is not even a memory here. Our homeworld is ash, our monuments vapor, our fossils melted into plasma. The Voyager probes still drift in the void, far from the remains of the solar system, but their golden records have endured cosmic radiation for so long that they may already be damaged beyond recognition. Still, they are the only survivors of our age. Small metal ghosts moving between the stars. 50 billion years. The galaxies themselves begin to change. The Milky Way and Andromeda have collided, merging into a single vast galaxy, Milkdromeda. Starbirth continues for a while, blazing in new clusters and nebulae, but fuel is finite. Slowly, the lights of the cosmos begin to dim. Humanity's story, once written on a single fragile planet, is long since erased. No species remembers us. No planet holds our ruins. Only in stone layers scattered through the galaxy. Fragments of Earth churned into dust. Might traces of our atoms persist, indistinguishable from any other. 100 billion years. The universe has expanded so far that distant galaxies are no longer visible. Space itself is stretching, pulling stars and galaxies away from each other faster than light can cross. The night sky is emptying. A civilization alive in this time would see only its own galaxy, with no knowledge of others. The universe is shrinking into loneliness. Stars burn out. One by one, their light fades. The cosmos grows darker. 1 trillion years. Star formation ends. The galaxies are filled only with old, dying stars. White dwarfs cool into black dwarfs. Neutron stars spin silently. Black holes lurk in the void, swallowing anything that drifts too close. The universe is cold, dark, and quiet. Humanity is now not only forgotten, but impossible to imagine. Our age is a flicker, an instant, erased from the cosmic record. We are as gone as the dinosaurs, as gone as the first single-celled life that once stirred on Earth. And yet, Voyager may still drift, frozen, battered, and silent, its golden record pitted and scarred. Perhaps illegible, perhaps intact. A bottle in an ocean so vast it may never be found. It is the last artifact of us, the last whisper of a vanished species in an emptying universe. The stars are dying, the cosmos grows colder, time stretches on, and humanity remains nothing but silence.